There is a moment in your first EMS placement when you realize, I'm not just watching anymore. They expect me to come and help. And suddenly you're standing in the middle of a prep area and everyone's rushing around and you're thinking, am I meant to just observe? Should I say something right now? So you end up just awkwardly hovering, waiting for the right moment to come, and it just never does. Hi, I'm Harriet. I'm a vet student, a mum, and a former full-time grown-up, so I didn't find the people side of EMS too challenging. But even with that experience, there were still some tricky spots that I wish I'd known about before. So in this video, we are going to be discussing the common EMS mistakes that most people make and how you can dodge them. Things that are quietly holding you back from actually learning and contributing, even if you're showing up with the best intentions. Stick around to the end. I've got a free placement prep kit that will help you land your first EMS placement without the stress spiral. Welcome to How to Be a Vet Student. This is your EMS survival guide for those students who want to do more than just hover. Let's dive in. Mistake number 1. Not researching the practice in advance. You know what kind of practice it is, after all, you're the one who applied. But here's the thing that most students skip. Who actually works there and what's the setup behind the scenes? Why this is a mistake. If you don't know whether it's a corporate or independent, who the senior vets are or what their specialisms might be, you are walking into a huge learning opportunity half blind. Without the background, it's harder to ask good questions, understand how the place runs, or even connect with the team in a way that's really meaningful. You're not there just to observe surgeries, you're also there to learn how practices run. The structure, the decision-making, the culture. And if you miss that, you're missing half the point of EMS. Here's how you can avoid it. Look up the vets ahead of time. Most websites will have staff bios, or they'll probably be floating around on LinkedIn somewhere. And do a quick scan for something that's going to interest you. Is there someone there who really likes imaging? Does the practice manager have an interest in sustainability? Are they part of a larger corporate group? And here's my personal tip. I like to be prepared with a few specific questions in mind before I even step foot in the practice. Something like, one example I used on my last EMS placement was, I saw that you've been with the practice since it was privately owned. How did you find that transition into a corporation? It shows that you're engaged and it builds rapport, and it turns small talk into insight. Mistake number 2, showing up late. I mean, it sounds basic, right? You show up on time, but things can happen and it ends up leaving a bigger impression than you hoped for. Why it's a mistake. Even if no one says anything, being late indicates that you're not really taking this placement seriously, even if you really are. It adds tension to the situation before you've even put your bag down. And here's the thing, clinics are busy. If you're late, you're not just behind, you're interrupting. You miss the morning briefing, a chance to settle in, and sometimes the best cases of the day get handed over from the night shift. Here's how to avoid it. Find out exactly when they are expecting you, not just when the clinic opens, because sometimes they can be two different things. Some places can want you there 15 minutes before they open to do ward rounds or handovers. Plan your route the night before, set 2 alarms if you need to, and just add in some buffer time. This is not the morning to discover that there are roadworks on the A38. And here's my personal tip. I always aim to get there at least 15 minutes early on day 1. Worst case scenario is that you sit in your car with your coffee. Best case, you walk in calm, collected, and ahead of the game. And honestly, those few extra minutes can set the tone for the whole rest of the week. Mistake number 3, not asking any questions. You don't want to annoy anyone, you don't want to look clueless, so you just quietly keep your questions to yourself and just observe. Why this is a mistake. EMS is not just about watching, it is about understanding. If you do not ask questions, you're missing out on an opportunity to connect those dots and get a deeper understanding of what you're looking at in front of you. And let's keep it real, they're not expecting you to know everything, but they will notice if you do not speak up. So how do we avoid it? Get comfortable with being curious. The trick is to ask at the right time, not in the middle of a crucial moment, but when things have settled down and there's a little bit of a break in between cases. And if you're worried that your question sounds stupid, it probably doesn't. And even if it does sound a little bit stupid, it's still going to get you much further if you ask than if you didn't. My personal tip, if you're nervous in the moment, just jot that question down in the little notebook that you should have on you, and find the right time to ask it later. It shows that you're paying attention and it really helps you retain more. Remember, the students who get the most out of EMS are not the ones who know the most, they're the ones who ask the most questions. Mistake number 4, overstepping boundaries. You want to be helpful and you really want to impress. So you jump in to hold a leg, to open a sterile pack, to assist with a surgery that you've seen on YouTube once. Why this is a mistake. Intentions might be good, but if you end up crossing a boundary, whether intentionally or not, it can really erode that trust. You might end up contaminating a sterile field, breaking a practice rule, or just make the team feel uncomfortable. It's not about staying passive, it's just about reading the room. Vet med is a team sport and that trust is earned. So how do we avoid it? Always ask before you act. Can I help with that? Do you want me to stand here? And if you're not sure about what the rules are around touching meds or patients or anything like that, assume that you need permission until told otherwise. Some practices really love it when students get hands-on, other practices not so much. So my personal tip, I just default to observation mode on day one. I like to watch who does what, how the vet nurses and the vets interact, and what the students are invited to help on. And then I just mirror that. And if you're ever unsure, just say, I would love to jump in and help. Just let me know what's okay. It shows that you are keen and respectful, which is like EMS gold. Mistake number 5, neglecting basic hygiene and safety. You are so focused on not being in the way or trying to be helpful that you just forget the basics, like hand gel or where to stand during a dental. Why this is a mistake? In a clinical setting, hygiene and safety are not optional. And if you're not thinking about cross-contamination or Sharp's protocol, then somebody else is having to do that for you. And that just creates extra work for the team. Plus, practices do notice. Not washing your hands after consults or between handling animals is definitely raising a red flag to the team that you're a liability, even if you're lovely and enthusiastic. Here's how to avoid it. When in doubt, sanitize. And if you're not sure if gloving up or gowning is required, just ask. Watch what the nurses do. They are going to be your best guide for what goes in this clinic. Also, try and know your zones. Clean, dirty, sterile, non-sterile. If you're not sure where to stand, just stand back. My personal tip, I like to keep a small bottle of sanitizer in my pocket that I can just quickly grab and use. And I always just check on day one where to put my bag and my coat and my lunch and things like that. It sets the tone as you're someone who just gets it and is respectful. These little habits make big impressions. Mistake number 6, being passive or not engaged. You're quiet, you stay in the corner, you wait to be invited into every opportunity. And when no one does, you just assume that you're not needed. Why this is a mistake? The team is busy. They're not ignoring you, they just don't always have the brain space to be thinking about what you're doing. And if you stay passive, they're just going to assume that you're happy to step back and just watch what's happening. And the longer that goes on, the harder it is to shift. You end up doing a lot of standing and not much learning. So how do we avoid it? Be gently proactive. Ask, would you like help setting up for the next procedure? Can I help draw those pre-meds for you? And even if the answer is no, it shows that you're engaged and you're thinking like part of the team. Nurses will definitely clock that, and majority of the time, they're the ones who are actually getting you involved in the first place. If you are ever at a loose end, find the nearest nurse and ask them, hey, what are you doing? Can I help you do that? Even if it's cleaning down the dental table. These are just small ways to show that you really want to do whatever you can to help the team, which they will really appreciate. And then when the next thing comes up, they are most likely going to grab you and say, hey, why don't you have a go? And mistake number 7 is forgetting to take notes. You think that you will remember it all, those drug doses and that one magical tip that vet gave you about trying to unblock a cat. But by the time you've got home, it is soup, brain soup, totally gone. So why is it a mistake? Because EMS is just full of gold. Clinical pearls, technique tips, and just real-world protocols that you do not really grasp once you're in vet school. But if you do not write them down, they will vanish. And this isn't just about revision for exams, this is about building your own personal bank for the future when you're actually practicing as a vet. And that's what separates you as a student who just watches from a student who learns. So how do we avoid it? Keep something on you. I recommend a notebook, but you can also keep your phone in your pocket if you find it easier to make notes that way. And just jot things down as you're going along. Don't overthink it. Just put down whatever feels relevant. Then at the end of the placement, go through your notes and pull together the most important things into one master document that you can go back and look at in the future. My personal tip is I keep a little notebook in my pocket and I am always writing things down. I write down any clinical tips that vets give me that they have managed to hone themselves over years. That is just so invaluable. One senior vet showed me the technique that she had honed over the years for where to position the hind limbs of a cat when you are trying to unblock them. That information alone was worth the placement in my mind. If I hadn't have written that down as she told me, that would have been lost in the post-lunch fog. And here are some bonus mistakes that you also should have probably avoid. 1, wearing perfume or aftershave. Some animals really hate strong scents, and so will the surgical team if you're in really close contact for a longer time. 2, forgetting to eat, because heroic fasting does not save anyone. Bring snacks, stash snacks. I stash snacks in my pocket all the time. You have to protect your blood sugar at all costs. 3, getting defensive over feedback. You're not being told off, you are being trained, and everyone messes something up now and again. Own it, learn from it, move on. 4, oversharing. Yes, be yourself, but do not trauma dump your entire vet school backstory on day 1. Just read the room. And finally, leaving without saying thank you. It sounds basic, but you would be surprised. A genuine thank you at the end of your placement, along with a card or even some homemade cakes, can change what would just be a normal placement into a potential job offer in the future. Okay, so let's recap. We have covered everything from showing up late to standing awkwardly in the corner and to writing things down. These mistakes are common, too common, but the good news? They are all avoidable. And when you dodge them, you are actually creating space to learn and grow and make the most of your time there. EMS is not about being perfect. It is about showing up, being engaged, and being committed to your learning. To help get your first placement sorted, you can download my free placement starter kit, which will help you land that first EMS placement confidently. The link is in the description below. And if you want more support, you can check out my playlist about EMS and placements. It is full of practical tips on how to get the most out of each shift. You've got this, and if you don't, we'll figure it out together. See you in the next video.